Ready.
All right. Hi, Michaela.
Hi,
Thank you
Missy.
so much for agreeing to let me interview you. And we're going to dive right in. So,
Okay.
can you tell us about your Middlebury lacrosse life
Just in general?
in general?
Sure. Well, I was thinking about this actually on my run today, that a lot of things in my life led me to Middlebury, which was really cool. So I grew up in a family that was community driven and mission driven, where we had my dad and my mom had all these like sayings around the house, and we would have, me and my two brothers had like framed word printouts of just like phrases of like, it's more about the journey, not the destination, like all these little things that got our family through the day. And just it was our family ethos. And then playing high school lacrosse at Pingree, I had a lacrosse coach that focused a lot around the psychological work that has to do with sports and community too. And so I think a lot of those pieces led me to Middlebury, and what I found attractive about Middlebury and Middlebury lacrosse in general is that the culture was more than just the sport. It was about the team itself. It wasn't about the play time. It was about success. And if you lost, what did you gain from that at the same time? And so going up to Middlebury from Massachusetts, I was like, oh, it's cold up here. I think I visited for the first time in February, and there was no one else on campus because it was Feb break. But like meeting with you, Missy, and recruiting with you was so fun, because it was about the people that Middlebury lacrosse gathered and attracted beyond just the players. So it's the parents, it's the community and the alumni, which we're seeing right now, which has been so cool. And so I played lacrosse from 2010 was my first freshman year, and I graduated in 2013. And I was number 13. So I always say lucky number 13. And I played midfield. So yeah.
All right. So, what was your go-to lacrosse move?
I was thinking about this. I think my go-to lacrosse move was in midfield, where I would get the ball and I'd be running down the field and someone would be chasing me, and I would just change speed and just try and leave them in my dust.
Yep.
Just like get the midfielders behind us to get the ball up to the attackman.
That's a great description of number 13 in transition. There she goes. Yeah. We can't see her, but there she goes. Awesome. So in your era, Michaela, there were some pretty incredible April Fool's jokes that were that you guys threw out. Can you name any in particular?
Yeah. Yeah, one specifically. I don't even remember what year this was. I think my sophomore year. But we decided to prank you, Missy coach, Missy Foote, the coach, and Dick at your house, where we took a bunch of streamers and pink plasticware and just like hid them throughout your entire house. That was mostly me and Danny, actually, with the plasticware. No one else knew why we were buying pink forks and spoons, but we had like little mini eggs and like, not, what do they call it? Like the
plastic eggs?
What?
The plastic eggs?
Yeah, the plastic eggs and the streamers. Since we like put streamers all across your yard, and we were hiding plastic eggs, and then we put like plastic forks in your clothes drawers in your bathroom next to your toothbrush. So that was hilarious. Then we got caught, so that was even better.
Yeah, I found forks in my house for weeks afterwards. In fact, I think of you every single time I find a plastic fork anywhere, Michaela.
Especially the pink ones. Those are good.
How about any stories about our team mascot, Eileen?
Yeah, Miss Eileen. So freshman year, I attracted me to be the choice. Other than that, I was a rambunctious, loud, kind of go with the flow kind of freshman. But she was pretty broken and loved because she had been around since 95. So by the time I inherited her, she had a little bent neck and broken legs that we had glued together. But the men's team loved to steal Eileen. And so most of the stories that I have are from the men's team taking her. And the freshman men on that team were incredibly creative. And one time they stole her from my house or my dorm room. And they created this video of them hanging her from a tree outside of Battelle. And they were masked and they changed their voices and they're like, we need 50 McDoubles at 112 by midnight tomorrow or something. And it was so sad because I showed it to the entire team and everyone's like, oh my God. And we all knew who they were. But sure enough, I convinced a bunch of teammates to go to McDonald's and with myself. And we bought, I think, like 10. I was like, I'm not spending that much money at McDonald's. So we cut them up. We spent like an hour at McDonald's. They didn't know what we were doing. Cut them up into like mini quarters, rewrapped them, and convinced all of the guys that we had enough burgers for them in exchange for Eileen. So that was a very successful win back. But she was stolen from me too many times to count, but just in the nick of time for practice and for games. So
very clever. What's one of your best lacrosse memories?
Yeah, I think they all fall under the same category of tailgates. I loved post-game, just like recaps with everyone, our friends that would come to the games, especially seeing my parents and my siblings. My family was so supportive, coming up to almost every game. And I just loved just eating and spending time on the grass in the parking lot up in Kenyon with the Middlebury community. And whether we lost or won, we still were cherished. And that was just the most important piece of it for me. I mean, obviously the wins were so fun and the bus rides and sing-alongs with all my teammates. But those were times, the tailgates are things that are really hard to come by nowadays. So.
Yep. So true. How about your worst lacrosse memory?
This was my senior year. We were playing Trinity.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say this. Okay, keep going.
And we were in overtime. We were tied, and I drove to take a shot, and one of the defenders, I think it was Liz Bruno, it wasn't my senior year then, it was my junior year, but her knee hit my quad and I just had the worst Charlie horse ever and I couldn't play. I tried again. Rachel was like, all right, Michaela, stretch it out, walk it out. I was on the sideline and I was so devastated because I was like, I need to get out there. Let me put me in coach. And despite not being able to play, I think it reminded me that everyone has a role no matter where you are in the game. And you just have to kind of like put your own issues aside and just cheer on those that are there playing for you. And just being so pumped for whoever went in my space as midfielder. So that was like one of the worst memories because that Charlie horse lasted a couple more weeks too. And we ultimately lost that game. But I
so remember that, Michaela. Yeah. Tell me about a teammate you admire and why.
I admire and cherish Lily Wynn because she has an incredible spirit in her that is really unprecedented. As a goalie for us, she was such a calming force on the field and a trusted force. She has such a quiet presence, but at the same time has so much fearless attitude that the minute she saves a goal, the entire team, or saves the shot, the entire team is just like, let's go. Like, thank you. You did us a favor. We have another shot. Let's just do this again. And I think her spirit of like this quiet, devoted, but also incredibly well managed. I don't even know if that's like the right way to put it, but she's kind of like the antithesis of me, where I'm just like loud and screaming and I won't shut up. And so I admire her because she is such a quiet leader in that way.
Yep. Michaela, what was your major at Middlebury? And tell us what you did right after you graduated, not even necessarily professionally.
Yeah, so I studied political science. That was my major, and my minor was Spanish. I studied abroad in Chile my junior fall. And when I first graduated from Middlebury, I had about a month off. So I just kind of hung out at home before I went to Colorado. So my best friend, Danny, and I drove cross country, and my family's super old suburban, and had a hell of a time. And we timed it perfectly so that when I moved to Denver, we dropped my stuff. I think 3 guys stayed at my apartment. I had never met my roommate before, and we just drove straight out to Vail. And we went to Vail for the lacrosse weekend, and that was super fun. And so I lived in Denver for about a year and a half before moving back to Boston.
And what were you doing in Denver?
I was working at Silicon Valley Bank. It's a bank focused on the innovation economy.
Yep. And now who are you working for?
So I work for them again. I had a 2-year hiatus, so they call me a boomerang, but I've been with them for probably in total 5+ years. I was there with SVB in 3 different offices before I left, in Boston, Denver, and San Diego. Left and joined 2 different firms in Boston for about a year each. And then I joined SVB again on the healthcare team. So I focus on the biotech and diagnostic industry on the Northeast region of the United States.
And are you doing some small business loans now during this coronavirus time?
Yeah. So it's been a hell of the last 3 weeks because our bank is not a traditional SBA lender, but because we want to support a lot of the small startups that do not have investor or private equity backers and are trying to do really interesting things with the technology, we built a platform and a team. Honestly, not even a team. There was just like all hands on deck. Everyone has a role, volunteer, step up, and process as many loans as possible. So over the 4 days that I was working on it, I processed individually 29 deals amounting to over $17.5 million. But the bank was able to process and approve over 3,800 applications. And I think that was over $7 billion. The numbers are still rolling in, but I think that's where I found a lot of value right now in the coronavirus, is that it was a lot of work, but I'm blessed to have a job and to have the opportunity to help be the conduit to the government's money.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for all you're doing. Now, do you have any relationship to starting a restaurant?
So it's not a restaurant, actually. It's a sauna wellness facility.
Okay.
So my 2 co-founders and I are designing a Finnish sauna in Colorado. And the ethos behind that is that a lot of businesses right now are focused on either individual well-being or community partying in a way. So you have the loud bars and restaurants to congregate and spend time with your friends. But that doesn't necessarily add to your physical and emotional well-being. Or the spas and the fitness centers are very individualistic. So you go to the spa by yourself for an hour and a half. It's an individualized retreat. Or you go to the gym and you show up to a spin class with a friend in the city. But do you ever actually chat? No, you're there for like 10 minutes before and after saying hi and working out. And so we believe that the Finnish sauna is a space where people can meet, spend time together. You can go alone, you can go with friends, and just really take care of your body at the same time, because it feels so good.
So is this off the ground?
No. So this is in the concepting phase. So we're finishing the modeling, finishing the revenue model. We need to start fundraising probably at the end of this year. Obviously, the coronavirus was a hiccup, but we need to fundraise before we start looking for space.
I love the idea. Great job. So
yeah, thank you.
Speaking of working out, Michaela, you are kicking our butts in these workouts. Can you give me a little history of your workout background and your teaching? And all right, go ahead and start with that.
Okay. First off, this has been so fun. I'm so glad that we've been doing these weekly Saturday, Sunday Zoom boot camps, because I need my own little sort of motivation, and it's easier with a group of friends. But when I moved back to Boston from Denver, I knew of friends from Middlebury who started a spin studio called it was called Velocity at the time, but now it's Turnstile. And so I started teaching spin for them, and I taught twice a week. It was super fun, like 6 a.m. in the morning one day, and then like 7 o'clock at night another. And it just brought me so much joy, just thinking about like how to structure a class, music and motivation, and how to get everybody like the best mental and physical workout of that time, because it's so hard to find 45 minutes, an hour to yourself, or to really just like get jazzed up about something. And after graduating from college, you always told us like, you'll be running marathons, like, don't you? And I was like, no chance, I'm done. Like, but I did crave the structured workouts. And so having the spin community was super fun, because you realize when you graduate college that you're pretty alone in your workouts, unless you seek an alternative. So I was doing that, and then I moved to San Diego, so I stopped teaching spin. I moved back, And at the time, my dad, I moved back from California because my dad was diagnosed with brain cancer. And so I didn't really have the time to teach workouts or what have you, but I really found a lot of community growth in my yoga studio around the corner that my dad and I would always go to when I'd be home from break, or even when he was still able to move, we'd go together. And it was such a like powerful space for me. And it helped me slow down. It helped me really think about just like the small things in life and how to bring perspective, because you can get yourself into a hamster wheel. And obviously when your dad is dying with a terminal disease, you're forced to stop and think about how you prioritize relationships and how you spend your time and your money and how you treat people and how you want to be treated, etc. So yoga aligned a lot of my needs during that time. And so I then, after dad died, I moved back to the city, and Core Power was a space in Boston where I found a lot of joy and community. And so I started teaching a boot camp sculpt there because it wasn't the $4,000, 200 teacher hour yoga training. So I'd love to become yoga certified one day, but I did a sculpt training because it's like a boot camp and it's so fun. And it's in a 95-degree heated room and you're just sweating with your best friends. And it has that combined mental solitude and kind of like Buddhist ethos of yoga with a boot camp. And so I taught that for a little over a year and a half. And I dropped that last fall when I started part-time business school. So I'm one to balance many things, but I had to let that one go. So it's been fun to pick up boot camp again.
So the question everyone wants to know is, how in the world can you talk and work out, lead us with incredibly motivating sayings, and still work out? What's the trick?
I don't know. I don't have one. Honestly, it's just like, as I said this earlier, I'm not good with silence. And so like, you just have to fill it. And when I'm in a workout class and the instructor is quiet for like 30 seconds, I'm like, I need more. More. And so I just do that. And I talk to myself while I'm running. Like, you know, Danny and I would go for runs. We'd like hit each other and we'd just like gab the entire time. So I've always been one to just be able to, I guess, talk and run out of breath, but it definitely makes it harder to work out the entire time.
So, how about marathons, half Ironmans? Tell me your history there.
Yeah. So I ran my first full marathon. Well, I ran my first half when I was living in Denver, and that was really hard. It was at altitude. My mom drove out with me, and I didn't understand why everyone drank beer after it, because I was like, this tastes disgusting. Like, I don't want this. And so I was like, okay, I can definitely do better, because I think my miles were like 9:30 or something. And I was like, no, Michaela, like, you're faster than that. And so my first marathon was the Newport Marathon, and that was super fun. The first half was the first full half, so everyone was flying by you, and then the second half was super lonely. So I was like, I need something with a little bit more crowds. And so I ran after that. What did I do? I did New York City, which was still my favorite marathon to date. And I fundraised for, what was that? That was for
Christopher Reeves.
Yeah, thank you. The Reeve Foundation. You did your research.
No, yeah. I donated to it.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who donated. Yeah, so that one was amazing because it's one of those things where you're running and you see all these adaptive hand cyclists and people from all across the globe running next to you. You're like, wow, this world is bigger than me. And then after that, I ran the Boston Marathon with my brother in honor of my dad. We were fundraising for the MGH Disaster Fund. And we were so lucky that we were able to run with beautiful weather. The Boston Marathon was tough because I don't like to run in the winter anymore, and I had to skip some ski days for long runs. Meanwhile, Drew was like, yeah, downhill skiing counts as training, right? And I was like, no, it doesn't. And so I drag him telephone pole to telephone pole. He'll tell you it's the truth. But we had so much fun, and our family was incredible, and our community stepped up to support us, and Dad was at the hospital at the time. And so we went straight after. We showered with our medals, and that was just like really, really cool. And then I ran Chicago last fall, which was amazing. And Sally Ryan did it too. And we both had so much fun through the pouring rain. And so I actually did my first Olympic triathlon this past summer and realized that is like way more fun because my body likes the training a lot better. So it's running. Right. I swam growing up. And so it just like felt so much healthier. So I had my first half Ironwoman this August, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, yay. Great. Yeah.
So if anyone wants to join me, please let me know.
Okay. Do you do anything else physically in your spare time?
Yeah. I do a lot of yoga. I love yoga.
And you ski?
Sorry?
You ski?
Oh yeah, I ski a lot. My latest sport, so I ski, a downhill ski, I uphill ski. Mountain bike is a new sport. My boyfriend's gotten me into all these like funky new sports. And so kiteboarding is the latest, I guess, endeavor you'd say, because I spent a lot of money. I was like, well, I better, like the equipment's a lot of money, so you'd better get used to it and better get. So we went to Aruba and did that almost every day, which was super fun. It's different for me because I'm not a sailor, so I don't have that relationship with the wind that I do. So it's definitely a humbling sport, but that's what life is all about.
So Michaela, it sounds to me like, and I've known this because I've known you for many years now. You have got this insatiable appetite for doing fun, new, interesting things. What inspires you? Who inspires you to be better?
Yeah. I think a lot of people, but specifically my family. I think if I look around the table at them, we all have something so different that bring us to this world. And I think I'm so grateful for that. Like my younger brother has so much emotional intensity to him and curiosity to the people he spends his time with that you can't ignore. And I absolutely love that. And it forces you to kind of like dig deep inside yourself. And I appreciate him every day for that. My older brother is like, we call him the ski dad. Like he's so organized. He brings people together. He has all the gear. Like he just has this, like, he's always having so much fun, which I love. And he's a project guy. My mom loves the little things. She has these little like quotes on, cards and little rocks and she just hands out to people. And she just loves sharing space in her home with people that just like give her so much joy. And then my dad is still with me every single day. And I joke like every day to my boyfriend, I'm like, oh, I wonder what my dad would be doing during quarantine. Like he'd be building the craziest things. He was insatiable. And I really equate myself to him. And I like really dig deep and be like, wow, Dad, like you gave me such a gift and you are such a gift. So I'm going to go do this. And you can't say no to things. Like you have no time to lose. And so I do a lot of things for him. I do a lot of things for my family and, looking at the computer screen of 80 Middlebury women's lacrosse alumni, just like saying hi. And I just think like checking in with who you're surrounded by is just such a gift. So I guess that's it.
Very inspiring. What's the best thing that happened to you last week?
Best thing that happened to me last week. A client said thank you. And that was really nice. Like it was a grind trying to please everyone and work your ass off for a lot of angry, upset people, understanding that it's a very emotionally charged time. But the thank you that I got from that client was just so genuine, authentic. And it was just like, you're welcome, and like, that was huge. And I just think the outreach from some of the alums saying, thank you for the workouts and expanding from that, sharing stories of their own locker room stories and favorite wins or how they've managed through the last week. I think like those the little stuff really add up.
What amazing thing have you done that no one has seen?
That's such a hard question because then people will know. I'm kidding. I was thinking about that. And I think, so my cousin one of my cousins who lives in California, she's a fundraising consultant for nonprofits. And I think she's incredible. She just started her own podcast. And I kind of had forgot about this thing that I had done until she gave a little shout out to me in her podcast, Lindsay Simon's Consulting. You should look her up. But she was telling her listeners that I write notes, little like love notes to strangers on people's windshields. And I used to do it after teaching class at Core Power on Wednesday mornings. I would teach at 5:45. Everyone was like, that's such an ungodly hour. Why would you ever teach at that time? So you have to get up at 4:45. And it was early, but I just left at 7:15 so happy and on such a high that we were doing this thing at Core Power to spark joy. And it was like, buy the person behind you coffee, or like do little things. And one of them was leave a note on a stranger's car. And I decided to make that my Wednesday ritual. And so I write little notes of like quotes from Dr. Seuss or quotes from Pema Chodron or Thich Nhat Hanh, like all these Buddhist leaders that I love. And so I would just like try and pump up people's day on like little colorful cardboard. So
I love that. All right, this is the last hard question.
okay.
Give me 3 interesting facts about yourself.
Okay. 1 is that after every marathon, I've lost at least 1 toenail. 2, I was going to make kiteboarding my fun fact, but I already spoiled that one. So, I don't know how to make bread, even though everyone's making bread in Corona.
Oh.
So that's not interesting. But 3 is I used to have Shayla's Bob Shop in college, and I would give teammates haircuts. And we would joke, we like Shayla's Bob Shop. You want purple? What do you say? It was, we got some cornrows, some purple highlights, or a twim. And so we would like, I would cut so many people's hair, and even my own. So that's a little fun fact.
Great. All right. I've got a round of short answers. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're just going to give me 1 or 2 word answers.
Okay.
All right. Not a full sentence at all. What's your biggest quirk?
I don't know.
Confess all.
What?
Confess all. You don't put the top on the toothpaste. You squeeze from the middle.
Oh, my quirk. I pick my toenails not into the trash.
Good. Have you ever memorized one, or what song have you completely memorized?
Oh, Sade, Smooth Operator. That one always comes into my head when I run. I kid you not.
Show me really quick your very best locker room dance move.
Ooh, twerking on the pole.
Okay, yeah, don't show me. What's your most used emoji?
This one with the hearts on the eyes.
Yeah, good.
And the sunflower in honor of my dad.
Oh, what's the last place you traveled?
Aruba before coronavirus.
Yeah. How do you relax?
I don't. Yoga or reading.
Yeah, perfect. What's next on your bucket list?
Ooh, get air kiteboarding.
Ooh. And how much do you charge for purple highlights in Shayla's barbershop?
A glass of wine.
Okay. All right. This is rapid fire. You know how we used to love to end practice with rapid fire?
Yes.
I'll ask you 10 questions, and you're just going to answer. I'm going to ask you questions with 2 possible answers, and you tell me the one that comes to mind the quickest. Okay? It's rapid fire. Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Bath or shower?
Shower.
Beer, wine, or cocktail?
Cocktail.
Early bird or
Margarita.
what?
Margarita.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Books or TV?
Books.
Dinner out or cook at home?
Dinner out.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Fiction.
Winter or summer?
Oh, that's so hard. Summer.
Breakfast or no breakfast?
No breakfast.
Tiger King or The Bachelor?
Tiger King.
You are done. You got 100 on your rapid fire.
That's a win.
Michaela, thank you so much. That was incredible.
Yay.
I can't believe how great that was. You are very impressive.
Aw, thanks, Missy.